guys all night long. So quick demo on this guy, just so you know what everybody's looking at. So you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. So I normally joke around with my bridal parties that I'm the hottest thing inside the frame right now, and it usually works. So we're looking for what? The cold spots. So those are going to be blue and black. So that's what's coming out of the sky. And when there's always going to be blue and black in there as long as there's a person in there, because it does look at the differences of the temperature. So I'm looking for those blue and black spots to either move or take shape. So when I say take shape, I want head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. Like, that's what I'm looking for when I'm going through this. So again, it is a thing, and that is what we've caught in the past with this particular camera. The other cool thing,
like a whole body.
Pretty much. And even if it's not a whole body, there better be something in front of it to hide the rest of it. That makes sense. Yeah. So,
are they usually like far away, or are they usually like...
I've had them come right up to the camera.
Whoa.
Without us knowing it. Until the next day when I'm going through the data.
That's scary.
Oh, by the way, speaking of your data, like, there's 8 of you here. You're going to record anywhere between 7 to 10 hours worth of media. I'm not going to go through all 7 to 10 hours of your media. I go through it between 2 to 3 hours based on what kind of night we had. So again, it's going to be about your real-time notes along with whatever I find in the morning. The other cool thing about your video, there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. What that does is it shows you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. I'm looking for 15-degree temperature drops. We are 80 degrees out here, ambient temperature. So I'm going to be looking for 65 degrees and below. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm looking for out of that blue dot. So 65 degrees is definitely not going to be something we're going to find out here normally, just so you know. So even if it's just a blue dot at 65 degrees or below, we might actually have something going on, especially if there was an EMF reading or anything else going on along with it. So now that everybody knows. So we got it to 15. How are we doing on that guy? You getting the gist of how to listen to it?
I got 2 only.
Oh, get that. That's for sure. So you do have a phrase coming out of there. Did you guys capture it on the audio? Like, were you close enough, do you think?
We didn't have this thing recording, but it was different than this radio music.
Remember, you're going to hear that radio chatter. And if you hear that radio chatter, like Joni's already gotten the numbers 20 and 14, and one of them is actually relevant to our space. So, again, it's one of those pieces. The radio, they're going to use it like Bumblebee. Did you guys see Transformers? Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically the car character doesn't have a voice box like all the other Transformers. So he uses the car radio to talk to the people. It's the same type of principle. So kind of keep that in mind.
So he keeps his camera on too?
Yeah, so we're going to keep the camera on like for the duration while we're in a space. So it's not going to be like, hey, I think I saw something, hit record, because by the time you hit record, it's already gone. So kind of keep that in mind. So what's the relationship here, by the way? I didn't get a chance.
He's my son.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys because we kind of, when you got here, we kind of got started right away. But yeah, just keep it on because, again, you're in a perfect spot. Just hold it nice and steady like that. Keep people in view so that way if there's a cold spot, we actually find it. I get, like I said, probably about 6 to 8 pieces of that on that camera per year. And when they're solid pieces, it's a holy shit moment. Like, I'm just going to put it out there like that. So it's really cool stuff when we do find it. But I know being the videographer isn't the most exciting job out here, so that's why I usually try to pair up with something that you both can use at the same time. So, but yeah, have some fun with that.
What happened with the mansion? What are your initials?
What year did you die? You asked him.
What year did you die?
What color was the mansion? Kind of scary. Back up a little bit. Huh?
Did you just say right here?
I think so, but did you hear the tone?
Mm-hmm.
Sound like a demon.
No song. Is this where the mansion is? What happened to the mansion?
What year was the mansion built?
Alright, you two. What do we have now? Anything at all?
We asked where the mansion was built, and it sounded kind of like creepy demonic voice that said right here.
I wouldn't go demonic.
Deep.
We'll say, okay, we'll take it.
Have you ever found any demons?
I am not a person that believes in demons. So,
It was kind of a creepy sounding voice.
well, you also have to remember this device out of all of them. I was just telling Christine, this is the most accurate spirit box we have. It's 75% accurate because it will pick up disembodied voices more so than the other one. So you probably had an actual spirit using their own voice, which is probably why it sounded low and scraggly, because it was underneath that white noise, even though they were using it as a filter to relay the message. So it
Okay.
probably wasn't radio chatter. So again, if you heard right here in a dark, scraggly voice, it was more than likely Charles or one of the children telling you exactly where the man was.
It's kind of a man, kind of. But
Welcome to the world.
I think it's what it said. It was hard to understand, but it sounded like it said.
Well, that's why we keep you too close, so that way whatever you miss goes to there. All right, I think I'm going to pull everybody to the back. You guys can have you have going this way, don't you? All right, everybody, let's go to the back. Very high.
I think it did. You want to go tell him? Because someone could have just now said, like, asked what his name was. Go tell him.
But the number 22 is also relevant to here. All right, so you guys actually gave me a lot, so let's go ahead and get you on mute. If Philadelphia Alley, how's our words coming? Did you get anything along the way? Violence describes this place, but that's really vague, because this used to be called Dueller's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. I say some, simply because dueling was illegal. They actually had to find kind of hiding spots in order to make that event happen. We all tell the story of the same duel, but we're not doing campfire marshmallow stories like all the other ghost tours, but you guys, most of you have never taken a ghost tour, so you don't know how that actually works. I'm going to be giving you a little bit more detail just because of what you're actually doing. Remember, we're not going to spread out in here. We're going to stir things up in here and go on to our next space. So, Philadelphia Alley. By the way, whenever somebody's going to come through here, other tours, they're going to come out of that wall, so Ben, you'll immediately turn around if somebody's coming through, and if they have to go out the alley, we just kind of split the seas. I will stop talking and let them pass through. That's kind of how that works. But anyway, that's how the story goes with this specific duel. There was a doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island. RI is what you're looking for in here, Faith, specifically for that Rhode Island, and it'll make even more sense when I go a little bit further. He's moving down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd, and by the way, the doctor's full name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. For those of you listening to Spirit Boxes right now, if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it here all the time. But at any rate, he thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda to get rid of this doctor. He comes to Charleston to prove that he's not. On his way into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay here in Charleston. So somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. He stopped there because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So we were getting RI all the time on the red spirit boxes that Bree and Joni are using. So I bought the Ouija board device to make sure we were actually getting the specific letters. I will tell you, we've had that thing for about 5 or 6 months, and the same amount of times we've had the letters RI show up as I'm telling this part of the history. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can stay there with some friends of mine, and they'll rent you a room. You'll be safe. The doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's going to move down so they can get married. Now, Doctor is pretty happy. It's the 1780s where men whistled all the time. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you about our whistling ghost here in Charleston. Every haunted city you are ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor. Just going to point that out. But anyway, Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. So that's the hierarchy of Charleston. He just gets better seats. They're arguing over an actress one night on the way home from seeing Richard III from Shakespeare. Dr. Ladd thought the new actress was fantastic. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets very ugly with an argument, and they go their separate ways. You've already figured out that Ralph has friends here in Charleston. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of thing. So doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueller's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Somebody's going to die, and remember that this whole argument started over an actress. They came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened in a duel. Ralph puts his one shot in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die, falls to the ground, where his friends picked him up and carried him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786. During those 10 days, he refused medical treatment. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different than what we think of a gunshot wound today. So he probably tried to bleed out this bullet wound himself. Every ghost tour that comes down here will tell you to listen for the whistles while you're down here. It's always very quiet. Even on a busy Saturday afternoon, it's usually just like this unless there's an air conditioner running somewhere. What I will tell you is that if you're going to try this on your own and actually walk all the way through here, turn on your voice recorders from your phone and see if you can get anything by listening to it later. But keep in mind, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every night, just pointing it out. And especially since I got thrown out of here. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but if you're going to listen for whistles, keep in mind I'm holding a voice recorder on the bag so you can listen to it during this part of the story to see if there's a whistle and not a cicada in the background, plus the 2 video cameras that are recording right now that are hopefully going to find a whistle in the background. Here's how I got booted out. Here's why I cannot take you all the way down to the end. It's a very interesting tale, by the way. This alley didn't always go all the way through the way we came in. There was a wall up there, simply because the original Charlestown walls is where the Cumberland streets that we were just walking on, that's where it existed. So this alley was cut off. The reason why is because this is where they kept all of the livestock for the city of Charleston. It used to be called Cow Alley. So that means the bricks on the other side, down by Queen Street, are older than the bricks we're standing on now. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child at the end of the alley, and some fingerprint swipes and other bricks off to the left. I used to take my groups all the way through here when I first started doing this. But I treat that brick the exact same way I do a grave. That's the last place you're going to find that kid. He's not staring at the brick that he overturned and left his imprint on. I'm trying to shoot my group along on November 26th of 2020 because I know nothing's going to happen. They're all waiting. They're huddled around that brick. Also because it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was just trying to be respectful to the house down there, not knowing I was out of bounds for tours. So, the new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. She was on the tour that night. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work on Thanksgiving primarily because I worked for Walmart for a good part of my 20-year retail management career in upper management for Walmart. So you can all understand why I'll never work Thanksgiving again. So the next day was November 28th. The dates are relevant. I'm getting to it. I called my partner that I had at the time, learning about tourism because I was new at this, and I told him what happened 2 nights prior. And he said, dude, you can't go down that far. He's like, you're only allowed to go down halfway, or you got to reroute the group. What I told my group that night was we're going to have to reroute, but I don't believe in the next story because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Obviously, we're talking about pirates next, in case you didn't pick up on that. So, one person with a spirit box heard the name Anne before we left the space, where we're standing right now. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, okay, maybe we will have something going on. We get over there, I told them a little bit I did know about piracy. Another person with a spirit box, here's the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time, I write it down. Research the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. You guys are all like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I went, my shoulders shrunk and went, damn it. The reason why is because I have a master's degree in creative writing. My problem with pirates, pirate stories are created from pirate lore. Do you know how many books I have to read to be able to validate what we're about to go investigate? It's a lot. So again, it was a lot of research to get us to the point of what we're about to discuss at the next location. And look, another tour is probably trying to come down here. And normally, by the way, 4th of July week, this place is flooded. Like we are like going elbow to elbow down here with tours. Again, I try to be brief in here. But kind of keep that in mind with the whole pirate piece. Hopefully when we're over there, because we're going to be able to spread out and we'll get Dixie's spirit box up and running again, that we're going to get things from this location as well as the pirate story over there. I will tell you about the gate before we leave. The gate behind me, by the way, you are like in perfect mode. I love it. Nice clear shot. The gate behind me, if you remember that the alley didn't go all the way through like I mentioned for Cow Alley, in the event there was a loser to a duel, this was the shortcut to get over to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. So the loser would obviously be dead. So instead, they would have to walk all the way down to Queen Street and double back around. So they created this gate behind me. And the gate wasn't originally there, but you can definitely tell that the archway was part of the original wall. I like to call this the death gate because, again, lots of dead bodies would have come through here to cut over the courtyard to get over to the cemetery by St. Philip's. So, are you guys ready to learn about some rated R pirates? Nobody got my punny joke? Really? Arr, thanks. All right, somebody got it. All right, let's get tape moving.
I didn't get that.
Ready?
Quiet here.
gunpowder place.
Any other numbers that showed up? Anybody get anything? Dixie? Nothing? I heard a bunch of static behind me. I didn't know you were getting
I like the
anything.
music.
What was the music?
It was just random stuff, nothing in particular.
Okay. So Bree, anything on yours?
I mean, I just got a really loud in price as I was walking in.
Well, look over that
Right.
way. Tallest
Yeah.
steeple in Charleston. And notice you guys didn't hear any religious terms until we came over here. That's on a nightly basis.
I got two things about church before you just told your last story.
I think I could share
I got-
some right here.
Made in his image before you told me this.
So, a lot of those religious
lot of
terms
those.
as we get closer
Yeah.
to St. Philip's. How's our word list coming, Christine?
Since we left, we got deadline, change, Caden, toll, live go, literary, and a go.
Literary showed up at inside the alley.
On our way over.
So, I'm excited about that because it's part of something else. Dr. Ladd, that we just talked about, actually used to write poetry when he was here. He used to write about his fiancée Amanda and about the city of Charleston. After he died, his sister Elizabeth published all of his poetry and called it The Literary Remains of Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So we have one part of the title. We'll see if something else pops up with it, say part of his name. Like at that point, I'll be convinced. But the word literary is obviously very specific to that particular book. So I've read pieces of it. I don't actually have a copy. I've read some online work. It's okay. It's not to the standard of what I would actually consider.
I just got the glory of God.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of those. Expect those. How's your letters coming? No RI over there at all? Damn it. All right, so over here, you're looking for AB or MR. So let's get into this craziness. Dixie, I need you guys to get more out of that thing. Work harder.
Over here, the word is female.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised by that either. That's going to make a lot more sense to you guys here in just a moment. We get a lot of, well, we're going to be discussing a female pirate, but a lot of female gender terms come up about her specifically because of how her pirate career went. And that'll make more sense once we get going. But we're all here to discuss the same building as every other tour, but we're looking at it a lot differently. The little tiny building up there with the crosses on it, those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. None of you are from here, so you don't know where earthquake bolts are, I'm guessing. They're basically turnbuckles. So it goes all the way through the roof. If we have another earthquake, like what I mentioned at the top of our night, you can turn them on opposite sides, and it'll tighten the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. You guys have seen them all over town. Even the apartment building behind you actually has earthquake bolts in every floor. They just look different. Because the ones at the powder magazine, those are the very first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in, which is exactly why we're here. That building is the first set because that is the oldest government building we have in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. That building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. So, this is what I call a familiar. For those of you that watch the TV shows, you've seen that little Boo Buddy teddy bear guy that they use. So that's because the child would be familiar with a toy. Same principle. We don't have many buildings this old here in Charleston. So the hope here is that Anne's going to be here at the same time we are. So let's kind of get into it. The building was finished in 1713, but it took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But our history begins. Does anybody have their phone handy to kind of check on our weather real quick while I kind of go through this? Just want to make sure whenever we get a strong breeze like that out of nowhere, it usually means we got something blowing in fast. So
Mine just says thunderstorms expected around 11. I don't know if a radar maybe is
let's take a quick pause. Yeah, you're not getting much of a signal there. Let me just like
See this?
11 o'clock.
Just showing it. Hold on for a
You're
minute.
supposed to show
See
me
if the weather channel
in our group, not at regular
Weather channel says nothing at all. So we're supposed to not come till like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I can see something at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, let's hopefully we're gonna be fine. I mean, I'm enjoying the breeze because that bag is still pretty hot. But anyway, back in the middle of this construction is when everything started. So kind of follow me. There's a lot of twists here. So 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. So she comes here with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far?
But Anne Cormac, is that the same as Anne Bonny?
Jump cart before the horse there, Joni. That's the third time you've done that tonight.
Just trying to keep track of the story.
Yep, that's
Keep
why I
track of the
slowed down.
characters.
Yep.
Okay.
So, the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that they had to come here by boat in 1708? So, normally when there's gentlemen here with their ladies, I tell them, please be kind to your wives. They'll kick your ass out of the country. But anyway, they land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So, Dad bought a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. So that means he's sending young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. By the way, take a step backwards to Ireland for just a second. Anne Cormac was a badass even when she was a child. They say at the age of 7, 8, or 9 years old, I have no idea what the hell's going on over there. It's not even Friday night yet. But at the age of 7, 8, or 9, because remember it's pirate lore, nothing's going to be exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We have had the terms servant, knife, and belly show up on 3 different devices where the other 2 people don't know what's going on. So again, take that for what it's worth. So, we're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates were starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is pretty stoked. Let me tell you why. She's going to earn her freedom, fall in love. It's just like a man. It's a man's world at this point. So, first guy she falls in love with. I said first guy because there's a handful, and that's what makes the story interesting. We're going to discuss them all. Sorry, Bree, you look a little dry on board over there. So, let's liven this up. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? Because we've already mentioned her pirate name. They ran away to Jamaica because her father didn't approve. They got married. But when they got down there, she realizes James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy and a coward for the British. So this is not who she wants. A few years go by, she falls in love again. We're on guy number 2. This is what his name is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. Jack is the guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who the hell this guy actually is. He has his own ship, has his own crew, and wants to be part of the crew. But you can't put a girl on a pirate crew because it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this. Why? Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. Most of us are adults here. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's going to be a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to... It is. Lack of light. Depth perception. So, she's eventually going to get pregnant, by the way, by being a female in his quarters. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl and that Jack let her on the ship. So he drops her off in Cuba. They'll have the baby over here, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a child. We have no idea what happened to her. None of my research has ever found it. But she also comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty pissed off, because now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. While she was gone giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's who Anne is. She wants to make him even more mad. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the crew the Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like males on the same ship, trying to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed, M-R. So, Mary went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers, we're not going to really know, but the British found out where they are. They sent a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks because they didn't know how to use cannon jets. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, that's not going to work out. 2 ladies against a whole fleet of ships, they're going to get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her bow and captain, Calico Jack, and she says, Jack, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up on your spirit boxes a lot. The judge wants to see the 2 men, quote-unquote, that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. The 2 ladies go in front and reveal their gender. He does not give a shit that they are female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they shouted, because they're claiming to be pregnant. And you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. Sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. 84? 84. In the 1700s. Yes, very abrupt ending, because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. Mary Reed dies 5 months later from whatever pirates threw from in a Jamaican jail. Most books would tell you it was something simple like fever. I say bullshit, let's make it romantic and call it scurvy. Why the hell not? We're talking pirates. So, here's the things I left out of your piece of history piece, so that way you have something to work with. Everything else is fair game. This is not a prominent English woman that we are working with Eliza Lucas Pinckney. Also remember, you may get things from the doctor story, which, like the word literary, that I'm super excited about. This is me excited, by the way, about a word coming up. I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So that is one thing you can ask about. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose, so you had something to work with. The city where Anne Bonny grew up in Ireland will come up from time to time, and the color of her hair if you ask her directly. So that one is red. That's an easy one. So that's obviously an Irish woman. It's more than likely going to be red, right? So we are going to spread out in this location, staying away from the groups that are going to be passing by. And what do we got? 2 vehicles in here? Oh, we are really looking out with just 2 vehicles in these spaces. If you wanted to get close to the powder magazine, there is like a little bench along that brick wall. So if you wanted to sit down and work with your spirit box, that's fine too. So again, this is your guys' night. Get those video cameras up and running, and let's get those spirit boxes cranked up. Let's see what we can get. I will tell you with your particular device, the closer you get to the corner, we have electrical poles over there. You're going to get a little bit of a feedback. Normally you get feedback, but yeah, wherever you want to go.
What's Anne's parents' name? 2004. What's Anne Bonny's parents' name?
What color is Anne's hair? And what color is your hair? And tell me what color your hair is.
What were your parents' names?
Alright, so how's it going over here?
All we got was 2004, but that's...
Kind of vague. I'm going to liven it up for you too at the next location, just because, again, being the videographer, I've been picking the volunteer at the next location to do something different, just because we're not going to be doing this style of investigating at the next location. Are you guys familiar with the TV shows at all? Have you guys watched that stuff?
I've seen some YouTube channels.
Okay, like who do you watch?
I don't know any really in specific. I just watch them like going to abandoned insane asylums or places with these things.
Gotcha. We're going to really twist it up for you next time. So the next location is going to be a little bit more exciting. Your spirit box in particular should be an interesting piece along the way. It's been, because it is like 2 blocks away from here, so it's been a little bit more active as we're getting closer to that space. So, but I am excited about your disembodied voice that you heard earlier, so I may have to like hunt it down. Just because, again, the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, we should probably have that audio piece so they can separate it. Kind of take it from there. But and that "Who are you?" That's an interesting piece too.
If you want to check, like right before I ended the video, it kind of sounded like the same voice on your St. Charles.
It did say Charles as we were walking back towards the end of the, like the...
Back into that space.
It was like within 20 seconds before I ended the video.
Yeah, I didn't get that piece from you, so I'll write that one down for sure. The normally when you get something out of this one, I notate it because it is such a special type of spirit box. The other ones can be a little bit more generalized. Yours, like I said, 75% accurate. I mean, it can be crazy how many things come out of that. Oh, I'll also tell you, with that particular spirit box, one of the first nights we used it, I was wrapping things up because this used to be our last stop. I'm taking it from the person and it said pirate, like plain as day. It's not part of a sentence, not part of anything, kind of probably the same type of voice we had back there. But again, we were all excited because we didn't have much that night going on, and everybody's kind of disappointed and shuffling their feet waiting for things to end. But yeah, I am excited that you have Charlie on top of that too. Interesting. Yeah, keep listening. I'm going to do probably 1 or 2 round robins here just because this can be a hit or a miss for sure. Joni, you got anything going on?
88. 6 weeks. And then I thought I heard Wednesday.
What are your parents' names?
What color was your hair, Anne?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Okay.
Tell me your parents' names, Anne. What color was your hair, Anne? What were your parents' names, Anne? What were your parents' names, Anne?
It's not in the box.
You never know. Anne, can you appear on my camera?
And can you tell me your parents' name?
That was a scary noise.
And what were your parents' names?
And what year were you born? And what year were you born? And what year were you born? And what year were you born?
And what were your parents' names?
And what were your parents' names? Guitar. Come over here. Anne likes the tree. Did it say Helen? Let's go ask Nick. Let's go ask Nick. Come over here, I want to ask. Were there any names Helen or Kellen? Because it sounded like it said that. One of those two.
Helen or what?
Kellen, something like that.
I don't know. I'm going to write down Helen for sure.
That's what it sounded like.
Alright, I think it's time we kind of rein this one in. Just 'cause there's something else going on here that I kind of need to explain. So let's get everybody grouped up together by the wall. Alright guys, let's rein it over by the wall. Let's kind of tell you what's going on here. This is not a pirate piece at all. Got a 4.2?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
All the way back there behind the cars.
Alright, so we don't have anything pirate-like at all going on here tonight. So, let me tell you what's going on. It's a story that every other tour in town will tell, which is part of the reason why I like to stay away from it, because you're going to hear it on every ghost tour, kind of like the doctor story. And I'll be honest, I'm taking out that alley next year and going to be adding in a murder mystery. I think I've already started to tell you guys about it. Across the street, there's two different sides to St. Philip's Cemetery. The eastern side, by the church, actually has a sign right inside the gate that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. The reason why is because they don't want jerks like me going in there with cameras trying to recreate what somebody else caught in that location. So here's how this goes. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Harding, which is why I had Faith looking for the initials SHH. We did get the letters SH consecutively.
Wait, was Harding? What I heard?
You did. I didn't piece that together until just now.
Okay.
So, her husband's name was Gaston, so it was not James. But interesting, nonetheless. So good work either way.
Was one of the pirates she dated, James?
Yes, that she married.
But I heard a James Harding. Or
Harding.
James Harding.
Maybe it went over what you're talking
It's
about?
possible.
The Harding
But again,
thing?
with everything else that's going on here, everything steers towards this story. But she dies 6 days Joni, did you catch that? 6 days. You heard 6 weeks or something along those lines. After her stillborn child. We don't know the gender, but we do have Gut and Boy that showed up on the word list.
And Evan and Addison.
Yeah, I don't know who those two people are. I don't know that the baby had a name. It may be another instance where the baby's buried with the mother. So, 1987, 99 years later, to the day, June 16th, which we're very close to that date as well. I'm not surprised that this is actually showing up here right now. That a photographer was taking pictures of our cemeteries, piecing something together for a new book based on our beautiful cemeteries. He captures a full apparition. It's 1987. He doesn't have the tech that we have now. He doesn't know what's going on inside this photograph, so he sends it to Kodak. For those of you young enough to not know what the hell Kodak is, it was a printing company for pictures. So, he sends it to Kodak, and they don't know what to make of it, other than to prove that it was actually came from the type of camera that he claimed it did, and that it was not altered. If you look up like top 100 apparitions ever found or discovered, this is usually in that top 100. I am going to tell you, the reason why I don't tell this story all the time is because the picture is cursed. Any female that handles it, even in a digital format, is said to not have a good pregnancy if they're pregnant, based on the gist of the story, or to feel ill will, kind of like what I told you at the beginning of the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Now, with the amount of clues that we have to this story, I'm going to put one link in your notes, and it will say warning, cursed photo inside. Even on your cell phones, try not to handle it. Use a mouse on a computer if you can. But I am going to show you the photo. Just don't touch my tablet. Like, that's kind of the rule of thumb. I keep it handy just in case something like this does occur, because I used to tell this story all the time. Where is that photo? I haven't shown it in a while. Probably hidden. Alright, there we go. So, I'll go around the room and zoom in on the apparition so everybody can see it. This is a woman praying over her own grave. You're looking at her back with the baby basket right next to her. So this is Sue's grave, and that is across the street. So you can see her shoulders, and then the baby basket is next to her. So that's the full picture that he took. Here's her apparition. Here's her shoulders, baby basket. Did you get a chance to take a look? Looking at her shoulders, or the baby basket. So you can see why I don't always tell this piece of history. Every other ghost tour will do it, and they'll pass around a tablet. I'm like, oh my god, what are you guys doing? But I take this very seriously, as I'm sure you guys can all tell. And we have manly females in here today, so that's the only reason why I don't do it. Let's get into Anne Bonny. Let's talk about something a little bit healthier, right? So we didn't really get a whole lot relative to Anne Bonny, but I'm still going to give you the answers. So this is one of the few pictures you can find of Anne Bonny where she has a shirt on. The reason why is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Remember that she was dressed like a male pirate. So that's why we get those female gender terms all the time. So the names of her parents were William Cormac, Mary Brennan. This was not another subliminal trick with the name Mary. We just happen to have two in the story. Mary Reed, the friend/lover from the ship, and then Mary Brennan was actually a servant for the Cormac family. That was a whole nother 30-minute scandal we don't need to get into. You can kind of see how deep I take some of these histories. I also show you what Calico Jack looked like because everybody wants to know what they, based Johnny Depp off of. It's always interesting to take a look at it, and it reminds me to actually tell you what his ship name was. Calico Jack was named that because of the jackets that he wore. They came from the British captains that he killed. So, his father was a tailor, which means textiles were very important to him. Calico Jack translates to fancy jacket. That's where the name comes from. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. Didn't somebody mention the name Kingston somewhere? Like somebody's...
Oh, we saw a ghost tour in Kingston.
I thought I heard the name Kingston earlier. I don't expect the word Kingston to show up on the Red Spirit boxes that Joni and Bree are using. I would more or less expect it from yours because it picks up more disembodied voices. The word king would suffice even on our word list at this location if it was a direct answer. Remember, what color is a big red barn? Fire truck. It's relative. So, again, we're not going to hear the word Kingston on our radio stations. That's why at a year or two, it's not going to be always a big, thing. Cork was the name of the city that Anne Bonny grew up in Ireland, and obviously her hair color was red. So, I will also tell you that this location, you guys were asking me about people getting ill on my tour, this is one of the locations of why I give that heated warning. I will tell you that about a year and a half ago in September, much cooler than tonight, it was probably about 68 to 72 degrees, perfect night for going out and doing this, but I took my group to the back just like where we were, and the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost. So he's fainting on us, and I say kid, he's probably 22 years old. I have to pick him up by his armpit, literally, so he doesn't hit his head on the ground. Like, he's dropping fast. His boyfriend picked him up on the other side of him. We brought him over here, got him a bottle of water because there's a vending machine across the street. He was feeling better, so I then told the story. this used to be the last stop. I told everybody, go spread out, have some fun. I used to tell the Sue Howard Hardy story, so they're across the street with the cameras and all of that good stuff. These two guys pull me aside. Say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. I had 2 females dressed like males on the tour, just like Ann and Mary in the store. Makes sense, but it doesn't. I can't explain it, but it does kind of tie into what we were doing at the location.
They hadn't heard the story yet?
They told me after. So, and I don't usually ask those type of questions. So, if my daughter were here, she'll walk up to any one of you and say, what are your pronouns? Because she's a teenager and that's just something they do now. But for me, like, I have a group of people that want to go have a good time. That's what I look at. So it wasn't a matter of like, I'm going to ask them, like, hey, do you have certain pronouns? It just so happened to be that they did. It's very interesting. So, psychics and mediums normally don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site with those kind of EMF readings, and if I know that somebody's psychic or a medium because they gave me the heads up, I definitely do not give them an in-ear spirit box. It's too many messages going to their brain that it's going to just get convoluted, and they're going to probably pass out. I've had it happen, I can't tell you how many times. So unfortunately, that's usually the case. I got really good about making sure you guys show up early and you guys are getting your texts and that kind of thing. Like, please show up at 8:45 because I need to get to know you so I know what type of device to give you. So that's a big deal to me. So again, you guys can see why all of these things kind of tie in. I've expertised all of the little details of what you guys are going through. Now, our next location, we're not going to be spreading out like what we're doing here. We're all going to be working together as a team. Here's the fun thing. We're not going to be spread out investigating either. Anybody here ever hear the Estes method? Yay. This is what makes it more fun. For those of you that watch the TV shows, they have blindfolded people and put noise-canceling headphones over top of spirit boxes. Have you guys seen that before? Wow. Really? Nothing? Bree? Okay, this is called the Estes method. It is a sensory deprivation test. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take Joni and we're going to blindfold her. And she's going to have noise-canceling headphones while she has both earbuds in, and we're going to be asking her questions as if she were the ghost that she has no clue about whatsoever. We're going to keep her out of the history portion of this. She can learn about this particular fellow later on. Then, we're going to take Mr. Caleb, and we're going to take his camera away from him, and we're going to give him a VR cam. There's a new test that they are working on where an artificially intelligence-generated images will show up based on the magnetometer of my phone, and he's going to be the only one to see those images. However, those images will go back to you in your tour data when I go through it. We will take a look at them because he's going to be using my phone through a VR cam. He's going to be able to hear us, but he's also not going to know the history of the location. All you're going to have to do is tell us what you're seeing. And these are AI generated. So it is every picture he's going to see has never been made before. So it is a very interesting experiment. And again, this will be only the 3rd time that we're doing this with the AI piece, but we've been doing the Estes method with the blindfolded noise-canceling headphones for a few months now. It is a big roll of the dice. The fun part is that Joni has no idea what she's going to be listening for. That's the fun part. She's not going to know any history ahead of time. So, again, the only reason I'm picking Joni over Bree is I normally look for, out of the 2 red spirit boxes, who gave me more. So, it's not like, oh, I'm paying favorites. It's a matter of, like, what's best for the investigation. So we will be filming the entire thing. We're going to be heading over to Washington Park. It's a nice, peaceful, beautifully creepy place, as I like to call it. It is about 2 to 2.5 blocks from here, and we're going to see how this goes. Are you okay with me, like, putting some VR stuff on him? Yeah. I figured as much. Normally, if it's somebody's wife and their husband's here, I'm like, you okay if I blindfold your wife? I get some weird answers out of that, but take it for what it is. Man, you guys are like eerily quiet. Like, I don't get groups this quiet all the time.
Yes,
so,
we're captivated.
I guess so. You're still here. All right, let's go blindfold some people. Let's do this.
If I see some, I'm getting the VR. If I get some kind of ghost on the screen, I'm gonna like scream and throw the VR at stuff. yard. Country music.
She's just gonna rattle off a bunch of shit and it's not gonna mean anything. And we're all gonna get
Sounds awesome for me. What's the virtual reality setting again?
but anyway, it's using all of the
You'll see it?
Point it that way. I'm trying to see if it picked up anything that weird looking going. I thought it was dying. Okay, thing. There's that street you came out. Nothing down the block. What?
I think it was dying.
It gets to like 50 if I pointed at the sky. Oh, great. This park looks nice. I don't know. That sounded like a stereotype ghost.
Caleb,
Hi.
have a seat.
You okay?
Kind of. Okay, so we stop your video.